Story 1. Let me start with some background. My wife and I are both 54, MF. Married 31 years, she is an RN at a hospital. I work for a home builder since I was 18. We have 2 children, both grown out of the house in their 20s. We decided in our mid-40s to pursue my wife's dream of running a bed and breakfast. We have been looking on and off for years. We came across a piece of property of 5 acres and a home built in the 1870s. The original owners were large landowners in this area. They had an extensive agricultural business empire. Over the decades, fewer of the families wanted to stay in farming. Parcels of land were sold off. Our town is going through growing spurts as it has become quite touristy because of some, let's say, natural formations and beauty. The farmland along the main highways is being gobbled up. The house and land we purchased are away from the highways. Since we bought it, my wife and I are redoing the entire house. There has been neglect in some basic maintenance, and we want to restore the house to its prominence 150 years ago, along with making a living. My wife has been in charge of decorating rooms as I finish along with paying the mortgage. I am renovating room by room, paying for all material and any professional help if needed. I'm pretty handy, so most work is done by me. In the last few years, the housing industry has gone through the roof. We would work 8 days a week if we could. I was pulling in big money until last year. The pandemic knocked us out of work for a while in 2020, then the material shortages started. Of course, my wife was on the front lines for the last 18 months. Last year, she worked weeks at the hospital without days off. The medical staff stayed at the hospital. They had rooms several slept in together. To say the least, the staff got very close. They worked 4 weeks on 2 weeks off. Starting in March last year into the fall, then again after Thanksgiving, my wife has always, after the kids were older, worked for others if they asked. She watched these young parents crying because they could not see their families. So, on their off times, she would give up her time off and offer it to the staff that really needed it. There were others that did this too. The whole COVID experience changed her. Watching people put on ventilators, the deaths, etc. She was not the same person. She was distant. Our sex life went to 0. I attributed it to either her experiences or her age. I tried talking about it, but was told she just didn't feel it anymore. We still worked closely on the house. We planned trips to an area in our state that had a large Amish population. The Amish here are known for the craftsmanship in woodworking and sewing. We bought several pieces of furniture for the bedrooms along with handmade quilts. This past weekend, we were planning on taking a 3-day trip to this area to buy dining room furniture. I also pay in trade with some wood that I get when I take down an old barn, which I do as a side gig. Barnwood is very much in demand. My boss calls me and tells me everyone is working the whole week as he was able to get wood and shingles for a house we have been sitting on, waiting for supplies. I told the wife we could go on Saturday and Sunday. On Friday morning, she tells me she is still going with some workers because there is a fall festival going on too. I went to a local bar that night. One of her co-workers comes up to say hello. I asked if she was going on the trip. She knew nothing about it. So I texted the wife asking if she made it okay and asked who was all there with her. She texted back that this friend, her other close friend, and a friend called Stevie. I had heard this name for the last few months. Until then, I always thought they were female. I asked her friend at the bar if she knew. This Stevie? She said no, but there is a Steven that works with them. Does the wife get back on Sunday afternoon? She has bags of tablecloths, napkins, kitchen towels, etc. She is showing me what she bought. In one bag, there was a smaller bag. She pulled it out, looked in it, and said, "Oh, not this bag. It's not for us." I let it go. Later, I looked in the bag. She had hidden it in a closet. It was decorations for a man cave for a college team I don't follow in sports, so it wasn't for me. I asked to talk with her. I asked again who all went. She gave the same 3 people. I just asked who Stevie was because we had not met. She told me a woman they work with. I pulled out the man cave stuff and told her I talked to her friend who was supposed to be away last weekend, but her plans blew up. Then I asked who Stevie was again. She started crying and told me who he was, and yes, they were by themselves. They had sex. They have been since last year during their hospital lockdown. So now she is living in one of the finished bedrooms. I have our bedroom. I will talk to a lawyer on Monday. I have no idea what to do about the house, the business, the marriage. To me, she was sorry she was caught, but not for the affair. I asked her if she would break it off with Stevie. She was not sure. Story 2. My wife and I have been together for 15 years. We have 3 kids, and overall things are pretty good. A few weeks ago, we started talking about her posting nude images on Reddit. She's a beautiful woman and was wanting a bit of anonymous sexual attention, and honestly, the idea of it was huge a turn-on for me. So after thinking and talking about it, we agreed to try it out. We laid out base rules, and she swore she would be 100% transparent and honest with me. Great. Well, she posted a few images and it kind of blew up. She got hundreds of messages and upvotes. We stayed up most of the night corresponding with people and having a great time. We had sex that night, and it was honestly some of the best we've ever had, such a massive turn-on for the both of us. But things kind of turned south when a particularly handsome man sent her a chat request on the chat app Kik. Right from the beginning, I could tell she was turned on by what he was saying and the images he was sending her. I had no problem with this. It was kind of the point. A few days later, I asked her if she was still communicating with anyone, and she said no. Okay, I thought, no problem. Then a few hours later, I walked into our bathroom and caught her taking a photo of her boobs. She instantly got embarrassed/flustered and quickly made up a story that she was just taking a photo just for herself. No one else. I thought it seemed suspicious, so later in the day I brought it up and asked her to be 100% honest with me. She doubled down on the story. Fine, no big deal. We ended up having a normal night and I went to bed around 10. For some reason, I woke up at about 2 a.m. and my wife was awake texting on Kik. She didn't notice that I woke up. I pretended to be asleep and watched her send messages to him that included images. My heart sank through the floor. After thinking about it, I wanted to give my wife an opportunity to tell me the truth. So the next day I asked her again if she had been messaging anybody. She said straight up no, and that she wasn't interested in talking to anyone. So at this point, I was obviously extremely suspicious. Later, while she was in the shower, I looked through her phone. I saw the conversation, but most of the messages had been deleted. None of the images I saw her send. The night before were there. I was torn on bringing this up to her, but eventually that night I decided to come clean. Initially, she lied and said she wasn't talking to anyone. Then I brought up the fact that I looked through her phone and saw missing messages. And after an hour or so talking about it, she finally admitted to sending him multiple images and even one including her face, a big no-no on our agreement. She said she got swept up and started to get feelings for this guy, and he manipulated her into sending images. She said she was embarrassed and felt guilty about how she felt about him, so she couldn't be honest with me as she thought it would hurt me too much. I should probably give some background on us. My wife and I have had a lot of trust issues in our relationship. She's cheated on me once, and I would often find her communicating with ex-boyfriends. Every time I would confront her, she would lie until I could definitively prove what she had done. Then she would break down and admit everything. But this was all years ago, and she's been perceivably straightforward and honest with me for a long time. We've both grown up a lot, and I felt like we were in a good spot and that I could trust her to do something like this. I guess I was wrong. That night, she messaged the guy on Kik and said that she could no longer talk to him and deleted the app. She also deleted her Reddit account. She swore that she would never do something like this again, that she wants to keep our marriage and our family together. I'm torn on what to do. It would be one thing if this was the first offense, but unfortunately it's not. So obviously I'm devastated. Part of me wants to just hunker down and stay together for the kids, become distant and unattached. To be in a loveless marriage sounds terrible. I just don't know what to do.